So, I want to talk a little bit about something that I don't see gets enough attention in this church guitar player, guitarist community that we have. And that's how the heck do you play, or what the heck do you play being a solo guitar player? And I'm not talking about soloing the guitar, shredding and tapping and being a lead player. I'm talking, what do you play when you are the only guitar player on stage? Hi, if you're new to this channel, my name's Sebastian and I run this YouTube channel and this home studio, Verbatim Records, based out of here in Puerto Rico. This channel is all about helping you become a better mixer, guitar player, mastering engineer, production person, trying to give you the tips that I didn't have when I kind of started getting into this type of industry, with no advice, with no one to kind of help me, just kind of left to figure it out by myself. So I want to give you a little bit of what I wish I would have had in the beginning, which is more often than not a bit more practical advice. We see a lot of YouTube videos maybe talking about similar subjects, kind of dancing around how to play specific parts as a guitar player, and tutorial videos, and talking about triads and different voicings, and that's all well and good, and that has its place. But I want to kind of dig a little deeper, a little bit more practical on how it is to play live when there's not another guitar player, standing right next to you. Now, depending on who you ask, this could be a good thing, this could be a bad thing. It's all very context sensitive. It depends on, your type of band that you have, what other instruments are in the band. Just to give you a little bit of context, my particular band, we are a keyboardist, guitar player, bassist, and drums, and a saxophone not every Sunday. So we have a pretty complete band. I would say it's enough where most songs will be filled out quite nice. And we'll talk about a little bit on why that is and what I do proactively as a guitar player to fill out the space that I need to fill out. All right, so I put on my headphones just so I can hear what I am doing guitar wise. As always, I am connected to my quad cortex over down here. It'll be off camera for this particular one. Not going to bore you with settings and things like that on the cortex control. The next video after this one will probably be diving more into tone. For now, I want to talk a little bit more on the mentality that I am applying for these concepts, right? So, point number one, always seek to serve the song. So this right here, this is king in music. You are not doing anything if you're not serving the song. It doesn't matter what notes you play, the amount of notes you play, or how little notes you play. It matters nothing if it's not in service of the song, because we're talking about solo guitar players. And if there's a song and it has maybe a little cool little guitar hook or whatever, but that would leave like a super wide space in the sense of like it would not leave any rhythm section because maybe the bass is doing something else and the song would suffer for it, then that might not be the correct the correct thing to play at that particular moment. And vice versa, if there's a very specific lead line that you want to be doing, that you do in unison, you want to make sure that you're doing it in the correct octave. You want to make sure that you're doing it as it should be done, whether leaving space or otherwise, because you always want to be looking to service the song no matter what you're doing, whether that be a lead line, whether that be a rhythm section or whatever. This is something that I see a lot. All right, so this brings us to point numero dos, and that is context is everything. So I'll preface this by saying this. You are not playing a solo guitar arrangement, right? And neither am I. We are playing with a band. If you are playing a church gig, which this channel is mainly focused on that type of content, maybe that's not the correct the correct place to start whipping out all the blues licks and pentatonic licks that you can think of. There's definitely a place for that, and there's definitely a place where that can be the appropriate thing to play. But you want to be mindful that of the context that you're finding yourself in. this is similar to what we were talking about servicing the song, but I want to expand it a little bit further, to not just talk about your guitar playing and the gear, but maybe even talk a little bit outside of that. We've all been there. We have been in the crowd hearing a guitar player play, and you can't really discern anything that they're doing, because they're stacking reverb on reverb on reverb and delay and modulation, and it becomes to a point where it just becomes mush to the front of house. Don't be that guy. Please. I've been that guy before. If you're watching this video, you've probably been that guy. We get it, but from now on, you'll make a promise to yourself that you won't be that guy. Take a moment to understand the context that you're going to find yourself in. And I'm talking not just the genre that you're going to be playing, the gear that you're going to be taking with you, even taking a moment to listen to the venue that you're at. You know, the sonic character of the space that you're currently going to be playing in. Because a lot of times we'll come into wherever we're going to play and we just put our pedal board down, put our guitar, put our amp, and just assume that that's the correct sound for the room, when it realistically, more often than not, probably will not be. Especially if you're a church musician and you're going to different churches, or playing outside. You know, not every church will sound the same. Some will be wide, some will be long, some will be tall, and you want to be mindful of even details like that when it comes time to choosing, you know, what you're playing in the guitar. Because if my signal chain has a whole bunch of reverb, because that's what I usually do, right? But I'm playing in a place where it already has a lot of natural reverb, like a big theater type of venue. Maybe the best thing to do would be to dial that back a little bit, because once the reverb that you're artificially putting out gets mixed with the actual reverb in the room, you will find that more often than not, you're just gonna get muddied in the mix. You're gonna annoy the sound guy, and you're probably just gonna get turned down. So at that point, you know, you're not really doing anything. Especially if you're in a place that has like zero acoustic treatment. Usually, the drier that you can run, the better. And you would be surprised how dry even professionals can sometimes run their rigs, because sometimes they'll be playing in a big theater type venue that already has like a bunch of reverb. It has a lot of delay and a bunch of tails on everything. Then why would you continue to add that when that's just going to muddy up the mix? That's just going to maybe not put you into a place where you want to be, because maybe at that point you're just creating a bunch of noise and you're not being very musical at that point. All right, and tip number 3. So this one is very, very important as well, and that is to listen to the other people around you. I see so many times that, and I actually see this way too often in my own, you know, Facebook and Instagram feeds and things like that. And I listen to other musicians' intermixes, and they have like no bass or no drums or no vocals like at all. And I can understand why certain people might want to have maybe a bit more of a personalized mix, just so they can kind of understand what they're doing, hear themselves very clearly, and that's all well and good. But if you don't know what other people are doing, how are you going to communicate with them? Because at the end of the day, music is a language. You are talking with other musicians, and if you're just doing parts just to do them and just kind of trusting that it sounds good, you know, by all means, if that's your speed, fine. I don't really think this would be the channel or the mindset for you, but I definitely would invite you to take a moment to listen to what the other instruments are doing. Maybe tweak your in-ear mix a little bit and make sure that you are really honing into what's going on to the other instruments. I've probably said this before. One of the things that has made me a much better guitar player is to listen to keys player, to really good keys player, because it has really evolved my playing from being, you know, the pentatonic shapes whenever I'm trying to do a scale, or and try to do scale shapes, to just look for notes and look for expressions and look for intervals, as opposed to, oh, we're in B sharp. Okay, well then I can play such and so scale and such and so box, which will only ever get you so far, if we're being honest. And if you've been playing the instrument for a little while, you know what I'm talking about. You know that'll only take you to a certain point, and it's not gonna feel very musical. And if you want to feel more musical, if you want to be more musical, you have to listen to the others around you. You know, if you listen to how the bass is plucking the string, and maybe they're doing a type of slap rhythm, or you listen to what the drums are doing and you listen to the keys, and you'll realize that it's a lot easier to fill the space because you know what context you should be filling, because you know what they're not filling. So that's something to keep in mind, that because you're listening intently to what they're doing, you realize what they're not bringing to the table, and that's where you come in your instrument. So that's where you come in with your guitar, and you come in and you play whatever the keys is not playing, whatever the bass is not playing, whatever the saxophone is not playing. In my particular context, you might not have a saxophone. But there you'll realize, oh, so this is where the guitar should be in the mix. Whether that's big open chords, whether that's smaller triads with maybe more delays and reverbs to pad out the space. You know, it's just a matter of finding the right context and listening to those around you to be able to know what to play. Because if not, you're maybe just following a tutorial and just like, oh, they said verse goes like this, and that can work for their particular context and their particular service, but in where you're playing and who you're serving, that might look very different for you. So always be on the lookout to what other people are playing to know what you should be playing. So there you have it. These are 3 little things that I think about constantly, serving the song, checking out the context of where I'm playing, and listening to others. These are 3 little things that you can incorporate into your playing right now. It won't cost you a dime. You don't have to go out and buy a new reverb pedal for these tips to work. These are things that are universal to genres. These are things that'll help you, whether you're playing guitar, whether you're playing a different instrument. These are all going to be universal things that are going to help you become a better musician, instead of just being a better guitar player. Because to be a better guitar player, all you need to sit down is maybe play a bunch of scales at 300 BPM, right? You might become a better guitar player, but you might not become a better musician, because a musician has the ability to communicate with other musicians, right? So that's something that if you want to take it, you can take it. If you want to leave it, hey, let me know down below in the comments. Let me know how wrong I am, and I'll run a poll. If you agree with me, you can like the video, and if you disagree with me, you can subscribe, and that way I'll know how many people disagree with me. And definitely let me know in the comments below. I will definitely challenge every single thing that you say, and we will have a fight in the comments, and it'll drive engagement, and it'll go to more people that'll disagree with me, and then they'll subscribe, and then we just kind of go around and around in circles. And I'm blathering on, but thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.